Three, two, one. Hold on. Let me just make sure that that's good. Yes, good, good, good. Okay, three, two, one, recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our live show. Yes, we are back from the holidays, from from New Year's. And this is the return of our live show. We missed you guys over the last couple of weeks. We were going to have our RPG, but a lot of us I guess we just were tired because of the holidays and everything. So we decided to do the Discord server party instead. Hey Maggie, how's it going? My name is Eric Mitchell. I am one of your hosts. Abby was supposed to join us this evening, but due to a family emergency, she could not be here. That family emergency being that John was going to be on the show. No,
Ouch. Oh,
I
yeah. You,
kid.
you know, she's 0 for 2 when you've invited me on. I'm starting to sense a pattern here, you know?
Yeah, I kid. Abby, we wish you all the best with what's going on, and we will see you next week. Yes, T-Span's Fiasco is here. He is joining us this evening for our live show. Tonight, we are going to be talking about some of the stuff that we missed for the holidays or during the holidays. And we're going to be talking about a little known show that premiered this past Wednesday called The Cookbook of Captain Rex, I believe.
I thought it was the sewing book of Yoda or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was the Sewing Book of Yoda. Yes, I
Uh,
believe that you are correct. Uh, no, we are talking about the Book of Boba Fett. And joining me tonight, as I mentioned earlier, it is my good buddy, a member of our Starlight Beacon Transmissions team, and just an awesome family member for me. It's my buddy John Byram. John, how was your holiday?
I don't like to think about last year
Yeah.
or anything since it is a new year. No, it was good. It was good. Got to see family, got to hang out with them a little bit. Unfortunately, my entire sister side of the family currently has got the Rona.
Ooh.
So unfortunately, they are currently on lockdown and sequestered in a secret government base somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains of Maryland.
Nice.
So I don't know if I'll ever see them again, but they are currently locked away until they are feeling better. But other than that, it's been a fantastic holiday. I'm excited for 2022.
Yeah.
It's going to be a massive year for Star Wars, so I'm super excited.
Oh yeah, me too, man. I mean, the amount of content that is about to hit us in the face. I mean, we just got it Wednesday with with the content that we're about to get hit with in the face. Yeah, this is it. And yes, this is a Starlight Beacon Transmissions mug. My wife got it for me for Christmas.
Now available for purchase on StarlightBeaconTransmissions.com.
Actually, we should do that, but and I've got a little bit of Jack and Coke in here.
Oh, think of the
Yeah.
children.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a family show. How do you think Mr. Rogers got through most of his tapes?
No comment.
I mean, I did hear Dick Van Dyke was drunk for the most part on Mary Poppins. So,
If you watch that movie, you would be too.
yeah. Anyway, before we get started, though, and before we get into some announcements, this past week was the fifth anniversary of the loss of our princess. We lost Carrie Fisher about 5 years ago this past week, and oh man, it was tough. It was tough to relive that again. Um, it's really interesting because now under the Disney umbrella we symbolize Star Wars with Christmas because we've gotten like all of these Star Wars movies at Christmas time, and to have Carrie Fisher pass away around Christmas, it's kind of a bittersweet thing. Um, she was our princess, she was our general, and she loved the fans. Like she absolutely loved the fans, and just cared about the fans, and she overcame a lot. and her story is one of those stories that if you have not read her story, you should, because it's incredible. It's an incredible story. And so I just wanted to say, we miss you, Princess, and the Force will be with you always. John, do you have anything to add before we do a moment of silence?
I mean, she not only does her character really represent uh just it's really tough to put into words because her character inspired so many young women, so many girls, that in a world that a lot of people can say to this day is still very male dominated in a lot of industries. She was a leader. She was someone that people looked up to. That not just her character, but her as a person in real life as well. She just had this uh aura about her that like that she demanded, and rightfully so, that respect that she rightfully earned in her industry, and just being an ultimate role model for women of all ages. Just it truly was a big loss with her untimely passing. um when you take a look at her story, like a lot of people, like a lot of normal folk, if you will, outside of Hollywood, life can be a roller coaster, and some of the best parts of life are when you overcome those obstacles and those hurdles, and that's exactly what Carrie Fisher did as well. So whether you agree with her politically, whether you agree with her or disagree with her, when how she lived her life, at the end of the day, she was the best version of herself, and she brought us a character that resonates with us in our hearts, that still inspires people to this day, and that's going to be her everlasting impact, is what she was able to do with that character of Princess Leia, um, and just continue to inspire young girls and women for future generations to come. It's something that will never be tarnished for her. And it is sad to mark these anniversaries like that, but at the same time, it's like you have to focus on their life, and the light and the positivity that they brought into this world. 'Cause it's too easy to dwell on on the negativity. So yes, let's celebrate her life. Let's celebrate what she brought to us, her gift of her acting, her gift of bringing Princess Leia to life, as a positive role model for people everywhere.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head right there. So, this is for you, Princess. Join us in a brief moment of silence for Carrie Fisher, and then after that, we will get on with our show. And for Betty White, we also lost Betty White yesterday, and thank you. And yeah, what another talent just gone. And you know what? I don't care what you say. She made it to 100, even if
Round it
it
up.
was, yeah, round it up. She made it to 100, and she brought us decades of laughter. So this is for Carrie, and this is for Betty. Please join us in a brief moment of silence, and then we will move on. Okay, so once again, to Carrie and Betty, rest in peace. We love you and we miss you, and we know that we'll see you again soon, and may the force be with you. So let's move on. We have we have some announcements to get through here. Actually, not too many. It looks like two of them here. This Monday night, we come back again. Well, I come back again for our High Republic show, and I'm actually joined by an amazing panel of guests for this upcoming show here. I'm going to be joined by Cam Ray from Cam Ray Semi Productions, who's a fantastic Star Wars parody content creator and YouTuber. He made the pretty much the honest trailer for the Galactic Star Cruiser, which is amazing if you have not seen it yet. And then he also has a character named Machnata, who is the Star Wars YouTube bad boy that I think Stevie Palps would definitely get along with. So I'm just saying there. So we're going to be joined by him. We have two debuts Monday night as well. We are going to be joined by the newest member of our team, Maggie McDonald, who also happens to be a High Republic fanatic, as well as maybe a Disney cast member. Who knows? Who knows? But yes, we will be joined by Maggie McDonald. And then we also have a fellow podcaster. Hey, Amanda, how's it going? We also have a fellow podcaster that is going to be joining us, Laura Kelly, who is one of the co-hosts of Force Toast podcast. And she is also a Star Wars movie trivia schmodown competitor. So she will be joining us as well Monday night. Looking forward to the High Republic show. We're going to be celebrating the first year of the High Republic and not talking about Starlight Beacon crashing and burning the next day. We're not going to be talking about that. And we're definitely not going to be talking about how Geode may or may not be a cat. Uh, anyway, so we have that going on here. Maybe. So we have that going on here. And then also, for those of you asking about our January RPG, we are working on a date for that as well. We will have that date for you very, very soon. We're just trying to get schedules together. That's pretty much what we're trying to do right now. Just making sure that because the holidays was pretty hectic for us. Maggie, just 2 hours of Geode. Yes, our episode Monday night will be dedicated to Geode and how awesome he is. So we have that. Discussing just Geode would be a fantastic episode. Yeah, I think so too. John, would you like to be on the Geode episode?
I will have to pass that evening. I am currently booked for another podcast that night,
Oh,
whatever night
okay.
that will be scheduled on.
Okay. Is it the Jawas are a bunch of jerks podcast? Which you can see later on our YouTube channel. Anyway, that's getting into Book of Boba Fett, which we are going to get to here in just a minute. But we have a couple of news topics here, real quick. A couple of these come from our good friends at Star Wars News Net, and then we also have some stuff coming from StarWars.com. First thing is the High Republic is celebrating its 1 year anniversary this week, in which we are going to be getting a special episode of the High Republic show, which Christina Ariel went to Twitter today to let us know that they're not going to be covering the Fallen Star or anything like that. That this is going to be an episode full of announcements and special guests, and no spoilers outside of what we already have. So we have that going on. Now, John, I know that you are in the middle of the rising storm. I should say this. But what are your thoughts on 1 year? Because it feels like this has been around for a lot longer than 1 year, publishing wise.
Yeah, with the amount of content that's coming out, books, comics, audiobooks in my case, because I generally just don't have time to read unless I'm commuting to and from work.
Hmm.
Um, it does feel like it's been around for a lot longer than a year.
Yeah.
And that also, goes to say that the brains, the minds, the people behind the High Republic have done such a great job at creating this era in the Star Wars universe, because it feels like it's been around. It feels like it's been there
Hmm.
for a lot longer, because everything just feels so fluid. Everything feels just so well put together.
Hmm.
So, I mean, the fact that it's the 1 year mark is great, but the fact that it feels like it's been around for years is a bigger testament to just their ability to create and tell these stories in such a way that's very engaging.
Yeah.
So it's a really awesome mark, 1 year. But yeah, it does feel like it's been around for a lot longer.
Yeah, it totally does. And because we're doing our High Republic show on Monday, um, I don't want to get like too much into the High Republic here, but I will say this, like even when they introduce a new character throughout this story, it feels like you've known this character for years just because of the way that they introduce these characters and the way that they tell these stories. Um, it's just incredible. So I just have to say, kudos to the High Republic, Project Luminous authors and world builders, and kudos to the Lucasfilm Story Group for even greenlighting this project, as well as Kathleen Kennedy greenlighting this project. This is incredible, and what a time to be a Star Wars fan. That's all I can say about that. So, want to get into some more news here. We have from Star Wars Newsnet, Lucasfilm enlists Monsters at Work and Rocketeer animation team for unannounced computer generated series. Now, this is interesting because Monsters at Work was a pretty big hit on Disney Plus. Did very well. I still have to watch the rest of it, but from what I did watch, I loved it. I thought it was great and had some really great storytelling. This is an unannounced CG series. What are we thinking this is going to be?
Great question.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I mean, it could really be anything.
Yeah.
It could be more content to fill in the blanks of what happens after episode 6 of Star Wars.
Hmm.
It could be more content, or maybe the first visualized motion animated, if you will, content for the High Republic.
Hmm.
It could be something completely different.
Yeah.
It could be something, to fill in the blanks in between other movies in the original trilogy or the prequel or the sequel trilogies.
Hmm.
You really could be anything. Um, I would probably lean it's either going to fall in line to fill in blanks where we currently are
Hmm.
in Star Wars, being after episode 6, after the Mandalorian, Luke trying to start his own, like Jedi training services, if you will.
Hmm.
Anytime, any place in the galaxy, just call 1-800 Luke Skywalker or whatever.
Yeah.
It's um,
Grogu answers the phone.
yes, it could be something like that. I would be surprised if it's something like the Clone Wars.
Hmm.
Um, because like the Clone Wars, I would argue was almost necessary.
Yeah.
And no hate out there for people who like Episode 2. But I thought Episode 2 was absolutely awful storytelling wise. It just left a lot of blanks and question marks.
Hmm.
And the Clone Wars animated series really filled in those gaps and really made Episode 2 into a better movie because of it,
Hmm.
because we had all of those questions answered. And we're seeing now that the thirst for Star Wars content is there.
Hmm.
So it almost feels like, maybe you can leave those bigger blanks in some of these movies, some of those questions, and then go back and fill them in with animated series later on. I just can't really put my finger on something that they would need to go back to clarify right now.
Hmm.
So I'd have to say it's either between episodes 6 and 7, or it's going to be a High Republic content piece.
Yeah, I can see that. I can also see them trying to do more sequel trilogy content as well, like what they've done with Resistance. Because you could easily tell what I would love to see if we do a sequel trilogy animated series again. Put it on Batu with the building of the Resistance base. Like, make it like post the events of Black Spire Outpost. Like, have Vi Marati like recruiting members of the Resistance like she does in that book, which I think would be interesting because not everybody can travel to Batu. So why not bring Batu to the people, essentially? I'm also with you about the High Republic thing, but I think that we won't really get an animated High Republic thing until after we get the Acolyte. I think that the Acolyte's going to be like the first big like High Republic TV production. So I wouldn't be surprised about that. Amanda also says, I'm hoping High Republic or Old Republic content. Yeah, even if they did Old Republic, I think that that would be pretty interesting because you could definitely do an animated series focusing on the Jedi Sith War. Like, I
I
think
would
that,
love the Old Republic.
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the Old Republic. I know you love the Old Republic. A
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of people love the Old Republic.
Hmm.
The Old Republic is kind of like that era that I wish they would expand more on. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of literature that goes into it.
Hmm.
Yes, you have Knights of the Old Republic 1, Knights of the Old Republic 2. Speaking of which, Knights of the Old Republic 1 getting a remake, which is going to be pretty freaking awesome. You have Star Wars, the Old Republic MMORPG currently out there. But aside from that, there really isn't a whole bunch of content out there.
Yeah.
Revan's one of my favorite all-time characters. He's right up there with Anakin and Vader. So, you know, I would love more Old Republic content.
Yeah.
I do know Disney is looking in that direction as well.
Hmm.
But I guess the big question comes down to is what's Disney more focused on? Now, granted, they're absolutely a juggernaut right now and they can juggle a bajillion things at once.
Yeah.
Do they want to focus on creating this new era of the High Republic? Or do they want to go back and kind of flush out this rich era that a lot of people are already familiar with in the Old Republic?
Hmm.
Could they do both? Yeah, they're Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
they're juggling 31 things for Marvel right now. Of
Hmm.
course, they can do 2 eras for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see Old Republic, hands down. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there because I mean, you and I, Knights of the Old Republic was a formative game for you and I when we were
Massive,
growing
yeah.
up. Yeah, because as a Star Wars fan, like in the late 90s or early 2000s, like all we had were video games until the prequel trilogy came out. And even during the prequel trilogy, all we had were video games, books, and comics to tell more of these stories. So, Knights of the Old Republic, definitely, like, I would love to see animated Bastillus Shan and HK-47 saying meat bags, I think
Eat
would be
bag.
amazing. So, uh, yeah, I mean, they could go any direction with this. Hell, I would love to see them do something that just doesn't involve Jedi or Sith at all. I know. Which Resistance was actually like that because it dealt with the crew of the Colossus, but, you know, do a Chiss animated series too. Like, I think that that would be really interesting to do a Chiss Ascendancy animated series. Because you could do Hell, you could adapt Thrawn Ascendancy as an animated series and show Thrawn rising through the ranks of the Ascendancy.
The Book of
So,
Thrawn when?
yeah, Book of Thrawn went. That's for Ahsoka, so we're getting there. So there is that. Next up, this is also comes from Star Wars Newsnet. Rumors of a mystery project being filmed at Pinewood Studios in London. So I think that this would actually go with what we're going to talk about in just a little bit here with the Lucasfilm staff gift that your buddy Pot of Luck actually put on your Discord server, and which I was just like, that's not real. That's not real.
Yeah, nope,
It's not
fake
real.
news. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah, pretty much. That's what I was doing. Um, but I think that this goes hand in hand here. If they are filming an unannounced project, I mean, that's awesome because that flew right under the radar. Because normally with Star Wars fans, as soon as we hear rumblings of something, like we eat it up and, we go to the source. So if we are getting an unannounced project, is this that Tales of the Jedi project that is teased in that gift? Or is this they're filming, um, or are they doing like post production on Indiana Jones 5? Or reshoots on Indiana Jones 5 due to like COVID stuff. So, I mean, what are we thinking here?
I would love for more leaks on the Acolyte,
Yes.
but that's just been a hot dumpster fire for so long. It wouldn't surprise me if that whole thing gets scrapped.
Ooh.
Um, I mean, I would love it. I mean, look, to be completely honest, not just because I'm a dark side sympathizer, I would love for the opposite side of the story to actually be told.
Hmm.
Like we have so much Jedi propaganda. I mean, Jedi stories out there that you know talk about the struggles of the Jedi, of them surviving, of them kind of changing with the times where they were more of like a police force and they became like a political group that tried to do whatever the emperor or chancellor wanted to do, and just they just kind of like changed as the eras changed in Star Wars also. And I
Yeah.
think that's great. That's fine and dandy, but I would love to see more of the other side being told also. I think that'd be kind of a cool little like yin and yang kind of thing there. But it could be. It could definitely be um, that leak from the box, the Tales of the Jedi, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool also. I'm not quite sure what to expect for it. When I think Tales, I'm thinking like maybe a bunch of like mini series, like maybe
Yeah.
like one episode stories. It's like a 12 episode season, one episode stories where it's like kind of like what we saw with Visions,
Yeah.
where it was very open and closed, one story, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour. I wouldn't mind an hour.
Yeah.
Episodes where it's like this is one little story that happened in this segment of time.
Hmm.
Boom, dive into it. Cool, awesome, great, move on.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool if that's if that is what it ends up being.
Yeah. I have a feeling like if this is that Tales of the Jedi thing, it would be interesting because you didn't announce a cast for it at all, which means that you're going with a lot of unknowns, which is perfectly fine because let's face it, Disney and Lucasfilm have knocked it out of the park with getting a lot of unknown actors for these projects. Part of me also thought that it was the now long dead Rangers of the New Republic that they were just moving on without what's her face. We don't mention her name. She's like Voldemort around here. Uh,
There's a crossover for you.
yeah, exactly. Um, but like part of me thought that it was that, and then part of me thought that it was this that it could be the acolyte, and we just have like the one casting thing, but they're just moving forward and we don't know. So, and then like the reasonable part of me was like, no, it's probably indie reshoots because they were filming all of that across the pond in England. So I don't know until we get from word from on high, aka Lucasfilm. We really don't know, but if this rumor is true, this is pretty exciting, especially if it is a Star Wars project. Because I know pretty much Visions is coming. Uh, I believe Visions is getting a season two. Like to me, it would just make sense for it to get a season two because of how popular it was, and plus you can expand on those stories. Hera was right there for Rangers and they canceled it. Yeah, Amanda says, I think parts of Rangers of the New Republic is still going on in other forms. Yeah, I think that that's the case, but we don't know though, because, I mean, let's face it, a lot of us weren't really excited for that project. I mean, we were, but then we weren't at the same time. So, I mean, Hera would be the perfect choice if they do Rangers. If they do go forward with Rangers of the New Republic, they could get Hera. Hell, they could even get Iden Versio from Battlefront 2 for Rangers of the New Republic. So, there's that. Until we get word on high, that is going to be that. We are up to. Let's move on here. We are up to week 12 of Bring Home the Bounty, and I mean, there was some cool stuff here. We did get we got the Boba Fett iPhone or iWatch band. Sorry, we did get the Bounty Hunter iWatch band. We did get the Boba Fett Starfighter silver coin. We got some hoodies from Sprayground, and then we got a Book of Boba Fett T-shirt, and then there was also another plug for us to pre-order Midnight Horizon from Daniel Jose Alder, which is one of the next High Republic books. So what from Bring Home the Bounty stood out to you here?
From week 12,
Yeah.
the cost of the Apple Watch band is what
Yeah.
stood out to me. First off, Apple Watch bands are ridiculously priced to begin with.
Yeah.
They're $50 for the Apple ones, and that's if you get like the really basic ones that have like that one snap that feel like they're gonna fall off if you sneeze too hard.
Yeah, I have that one.
All the way upwards of like $100 for the solo loops,
Yeah.
and then upwards of like $500 if you get the French band or whatever, the Hermes or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
But the Book of Boba Fett one, it's leather. It looks great. It's got, Boba Fett's helmet imprinted in on it. It's got, oh, I'm blanking on it. The skull symbol.
Yeah, it's got the Mandalorian symbol.
The mandal. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it looks great. It's not $80 great though.
No.
And that is a combination of it being an Apple Watch and a combination of Disney licensing. So with that, I think that looks great, but no. But that Boba Fett helmet also is pretty awesome. I have to say, I will have to admit the Boba Fett helmet with the voice changer in it is absolutely sick. If I had the space to collect helmets, I would. I do not have the space. But yeah, I think it's great. I love a lot of the content they're pushing.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and honestly, I can't see myself spending $80 for that watch band. As cool as it looks, I just can't do it. Like it's too much. The the Boba Fett helmet, absolutely. I'm in the same boat with you. If I had the space to collect helmets, I definitely would. Because there's that Wedge X-wing pilot helmet that I still want to get, as well as the Captain Cardinal Galaxy's Edge helmet that they came out with too. So, other than that, the only other thing that I'm excited for is Midnight Horizon, and I've already got it pre-ordered, and that comes out on February 1st. So,
Now, I do have a question I have to ask.
Sure.
Show of hands, real quick. Who actually collects these limited edition coins? Because I feel like someone has to be doing it because everyone is still doing these limited release coins.
Yeah.
And they're charging, out of the Sarlacc pit for them.
Yes.
It's over $100 for a silver coin that is authenticated by the New Zealand Mint, which I think might be worth the price tag alone.
Yeah.
But I've never met someone who actually collects these collector coins.
Yeah, I've never met anybody that does it either. Like, I remember Shop Disney a few years ago had some of the collector's coins too, especially like for all three trilogies. And even then, I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool, but it's not worth that price cool." And then, yeah, this Slave One, oh, wait, I'm sorry, Boba Fett's Starship coin is,
Toxic.
yeah, it's cool, but it's really not worth $100 in my opinion. I mean, it's just gonna sit on a shelf and collect dust like every other collectible that I have.
Wow. How do you really feel?
I mean, now the collectibles that I have on my shelf mean a lot to me, which is why I collected them in the first place. But this coin, eh, I mean, if it's like $20, sure. When it goes on mega sale on Amazon, that's when I'll pick it up. But other than that, no. Chat, what do you think?
I'll take the knockoff Reynolds aluminum foil version.
Yeah, I'll make you the knockoff Reynolds aluminum foil
exactly.
version.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Reynolds for sponsoring the show. Appreciate it.
Exactly, along with little Debbie cupcakes. I mean, it's like it's just one of those things where, like, I love collectibles. I know that you love collectibles. What the hell is this? Hold on.
That is what you call a spammer.
Yeah.
Or a bot.
Yep. Guess what? This guy's getting the ban hammer. It's some bot.
See, oh my gosh. So when you go to report the message, like the reports that pop up are horrific.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that doesn't classify for any of them.
No,
Okay, never mind. Moving on.
I put it as spam and unwanted content.
There you go.
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing that I want from this, well, I do want the Book of Boba Fett t-shirt, but Midnight Horizon, that's pretty much the only thing that I want, and even then I've got it on pre-order, so. Now let's talk about this thing that I had mentioned earlier about the Lucasfilm gift. Now, I will say this before we get into the gift. The Christmas card they sent out for the to the employees this year was fantastic because it had like all of these awesome Star Wars characters. It had Indiana Jones on it. Front and center was a Loth cat being chased by Grogu,
Hmm.
which I thought was just awesome. So I thought that that was great. So Lucasfilm employees also got a gift from the company that mentions Star Wars Visions, and it mentions Indiana Jones 5. It mentions Willow because they're working on the Willow TV series for Disney Plus. It mentions the Bad Batch. It mentions the Book of Boba Fett, the Mandalorian. So everything that we have here. But then it mentions Tales of the Jedi, which is something that we talked about a little bit ago. Um, this I keep thinking that they're just going to redo the comic from the 90s because that's what Dark Horse did, and since they do have the publishing rights, since Dark Horse does have some publishing rights for Star Wars again, I have a feeling like they're going to relaunch that. Or I could be totally wrong and they could just be like, no, this is a brand new like Disney Plus original series, or it's going to be a Disney Plus original movie, or screw it, we're releasing this in theaters. I mean, this is a real gift. It has been confirmed because I also talked to Joey, who has people over at Lucasfilm Games that did confirm that this thing is real. So, Tales of the Jedi, we've already asked about it again. This is going to be real. When do we think this is coming out? Or is this also a video game?
Probably not a video game.
No.
Yet maybe I don't
Yeah.
know. Um,
So,
I would be surprised if it's a video game. Just because video games are a lot more complicated because it usually
yeah.
involves like several studios, developers, and like a completely different team.
Yeah.
Um, and I would doubt. I mean, look. To be completely honest, I won't even mention the name on here. For the game that was announced during the Game Awards for Star Wars, but
Yeah.
like you can make a very solid argument that them even doing that with that game now being rumored to come out in 2026
Yeah.
at the earliest is way too freaking early to show anything.
Yeah.
So I would highly doubt it's a video game.
Mhm.
And if it was a video game, I guarantee you some of it would have leaked by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really don't think it's a video game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. As much as I want it to be a video game, because I was thinking, oh, that would be an amazing title for Fallen Order 2, because you could just collect holocrons as Cal Kestis and then get like all of these backstories from like different Jedi and stuff like that. Hey, we just wrote Fallen Order 2 right then and there. Thank you, Respawn. So, which I think that would be, oh shit. Pardon my language.
Over
Uh,
here throwing stuff at us on stream. Look at you.
yeah, I'm throwing stuff on stream. Jeez. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. You know what? We're doing it live. That's what we're doing here, people.
That is the perks.
Yeah, that's the perks of doing it live. Anyway.
If you're listening to the audio version of the show, Eric's light just attacked him.
Yes, thank you.
Uh, it was a very epic battle,
It was.
and the light actually had the high ground. So unfortunately for Eric, it did not play out well.
No. I'm now being burned alive on the beaches of Mustafar. yelling, "I
The
hate you."
beaches of Mustafar.
Yes, the lava beaches of Mustafar. I'm sorry, the
Ah,
lava beaches.
nothing like it.
Oh, exactly. When you're planning your next NA production. Yeah, T-Spans, that's right.
Yeah, there's these fans. Here we go.
Yeah. Um, when planning your next Star Tours vacation, please consider Mustafar. That's right, because I'm sure you can get a room at Vader's castle. Which,
Or the Galactic Star Cruiser could take you there.
yes, or the
Sounds more exciting than everything else they have planned for $4,000.
oh god, yes, the Galactic Star Cruiser will take you to Mustafar, not Batu, to Mustafar, because after the Galactic Star, well, you know what? I'm not going to say this because I still want to get invited to this thing, so I'm going to behave.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all I can say is that the cancellations are going through the roof on that thing. That's all I'm gonna say. And it has everything to do with a certain video.
That's no longer on YouTube.
Yes, that is no longer on YouTube. Anyway, yeah, Lucasfilm was looking at me for High Republic content now, and I guess now their lawyers are just like, well, forget this guy. Uh, anyway, no, all kidding aside, Galactic Star Cruiser still does look pretty incredible. I just don't think that it's worth that price, especially after that video. That's all I'm going to say about that. Shall we move on to the main topic of the evening, which is going to take up the rest of our show tonight?
The sewing book of Yoda. Yes, cross stitching
Yes,
is very important
the
when
sewing
making
book
your
of
Jedi
Yoda.
tunic.
This is actually the cookbook of Buckets of Blood from the
Oh,
High Republic. Buckets of Blood is, if you're unfamiliar, that's Jedi Master Torben Buck, who may or may not be an excellent baker. In fact, he is that good of a baker that he's getting he's getting a one-shot comic called The Great Galactic Bake Off, written by Daniel Jose Alder. And you know what? I'm ready for this. I just think it's going to be a great comic. That's all I'm going to say.
this is the content the people want.
This is the content that
100%.
people want. I mean, why not? Give me a comic all about Oga's Cantina. I just want a one shot.
I mean, I think that would be fantastic,
Yeah.
especially if you've ever been to Oga's Cantina.
Yes.
Um, I would love more stories on Oga's Cantina because I want to go back, but it's the cover fee to get into Oga's is like $139 a day. It's
Yes,
so expensive.
it is. But you know what? Worth it because of the
It's totally
drinks.
worth it. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. It's so good.
Yes, we are plugging Disney World and Disneyland. So anyway, let's get into the Book of Boba Fett here. I want to get your initial reaction, spoiler-free reaction, before we get into the craziness that is this episode. So go ahead. What did you
Uh,
think?
so I thought it did exactly what it needed to do. There were a lot of questions
Hmm.
on Boba Fett on how in the world he's even still alive in this universe. Yes, I do understand that, there's some Legends content out there that kind of gave different, takes on why, on how he's still alive. I understand that. But now canonically, we have a legit
Hmm.
understanding of how he's still alive. I love the fact that it started out giving you a general idea of who Boba Fett is, because let's
Hmm.
be honest here, if you know you didn't watch the original trilogy, if you didn't watch the prequel trilogy, um, if you just, I guess, are new to the Star Wars universe, you have no clue who this Boba Fett guy is.
Hmm.
And I thought it did exactly what it needed to do, given a nice overview of who Boba Fett is
Hmm.
and what his current role is in the Star Wars galaxy,
Hmm.
and kind of setting the tone for the episodes going forward.
Hmm.
I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. I thought it was great. I thought the action was great. The overall story I thought was enough. My only complaint is I wish it was like an hour long.
Yeah.
I feel like it easily could have justified kind of like what we got with the Bad Batch
Hmm.
for the first episode. Make it a longer episode.
Hmm.
Like you need to lay the groundwork. I trust me, no one's gonna complain that they have to sit around for an hour and a half while you set up this story in the first episode.
Yeah.
Uh, so I thought 38 minutes was okay,
Hmm.
but I felt like they could have done more in episode one. But I give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 8 out of 10. I thought that this was a very solid episode. I thought that it started to lay the foundation for the story that we're getting in a great way. Um, I'm with you on the runtime, especially because 38 minutes, because especially like when you get to the end and it fades to black before the credits roll, I was like, oh, maybe we'll get the one more thing, but no, like it fades to black and the credits roll, and I'm like, oh, that's it. That's the problem with these Star Wars TV shows that are on Disney Plus. It's really interesting because the Marvel shows go 45, 50 minutes long, whereas these Star Wars shows, outside of like, I mean, The Mandalorian had a couple of long episodes. Bad Batch has a 75-minute premiere. I definitely would have liked it a little longer, but it was great. Yeah, I think that we're all in the same consensus here. Like, the 38 minutes just flies by, especially like once you get invested in what's going on. Which you get invested in what's going on like right off the top of the bat here. Um, so loved it. My biggest complaint is the runtime. I think that they are establishing just something that is going to be extremely special for Star Wars fans. Um, I get why some people didn't like this episode, but I will say this: the people that are hate reviewing this episode, it's stupid and it shouldn't be done. You know, like they're just like, oh well, it doesn't do anything. It feels like a filler episode. It's not. If you've seen any pilot of any TV show ever, pilots do this. Like they start to set things up. That's what pilots do. Well, technically, it fills in how we got out of the pit, but it sets up this world and it starts to set up the story. And I got to tell you, this show is actually surprisingly funny too. It was surprisingly funny. I also have a feeling this might be the most violent Star Wars project we've ever had.
Good.
Yeah, because I mean, this is Robert Rodriguez, and if you're not familiar with Robert Rodriguez, he has directed some of the most violent movies of all time, while also some of the most kid-friendly movies because he did Spy Kids. Yes,
No,
Robert Rodriguez did Spy
no
Kids.
violence in that at all.
Yeah. My wife's like, I love Spy Kids. Like, and I think he did Shark Boy and Lava Girl too. So yeah, we don't talk about Shark Boy and Lava Girl. But he did Sin City, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Desperado, El Mariachi. He's done all of those from Dusk Till Dawn. So seeing Robert Rodriguez take on the Star Wars universe, I love it, and I want more Robert Rodriguez Star Wars projects. So let's get into the beginning here, and that is we see Boba Fett in the Bacta tank, healing his injuries from being in the Sarlacc pit, and we get these flashbacks, and I think like one of the most brilliant flashbacks is the Camino flashback. Just briefly, like we see um, Tapoca City in Camino, and we see Slave One on the landing pad as like it flashes through Camino, and then we see him holding up his father's helmet after his father is ruthlessly decapitated by Mace
By a
Windu,
Jedi.
by a Jedi. And then we get
Peace.
then we
Justice.
yes, and then we get the Sarlacc pit flashback, which I don't know if John Favreau was watching the episode of Parks and Recreation where Patton Oswalt does the filibuster to do Star Wars Episode 7, where If you've never seen the filibuster, you should because it's amazing. Because he pitches Star Wars Episode 7 on Parks and Rec, and he's talking about Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc pit. Which this was brilliant. This was brilliantly done, and this shows how badass he is. Like he punches through the freaking Sarlacc and burns it. Well, we're okay. Spoilers. Yeah,
A little late.
yeah, a little
First
late.
30 seconds ruined.
Yeah, first 30 seconds of the show ruined. Um, as there's a Book of Boba Fett promo on the TV right now. Uh, but I mean, we see him escape. What was going through your mind like when you were watching him escape the Sarlacc pit?
Uh, every time growing up, my mom told me to chew my food before swallowing.
Yes.
Because who would have guessed that food could come back and use a flamethrower to escape through your throat and chest and stuff, and just not fun.
Yes.
But so yeah, public service announcement out there for everyone: chew your food well before
Yes.
you try to digest it, because whew,
Well,
talk about heartburn. Like,
yeah.
come on.
That Sarlacc's like, oh, I shouldn't have had that weak way. Um,
It's like, oh, Boba Fett was spicy. Oh,
yeah.
coming back. It's coming back to haunt me.
Yeah.
No, personally, I loved it.
Yeah.
Because that had to be like my biggest question of all time with Boba Fett was, how in the world did he get out?
Yeah.
This was supposed to be, this gruesome death where you're like trapped and slowly digested over like hundreds, if not thousands of
A
years.
1,000 years. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Um, and it's like, and then here we are. We see Boba Fett like, you know, stuck inside next to a trooper. I have to go back and rewatch it, but like part of me feels like that armor, and please by all means correct me if I'm wrong, it was that like original trilogy stormtrooper armor, or did that
Yeah.
or okay, because I would look, the first time I looked at it, I saw like the first thing that popped in my mind was like Clone Wars era true
No.
clone soldiers, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Um, and like I just wanted to point out the armor. Like you can actually see it like starting to disintegrate because of the acid of the of the Sarlacc's stomach, which I thought was really cool looking.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I thought it was great. Boba Fett regaining consciousness, then stealing the oxygen
Hmm.
that was whatever was left from that stormtrooper, to give him enough strength to just have one of the most epic escapes ever,
Hmm.
and making it out of the Sarlacc pit. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was fascinating. Um, and I feel like Boba Fett needed to have that epic moment
Yeah.
in this series to kind of like really set up and remind people who Boba Fett is, and like the power and strength Boba Fett has.
Yeah.
So I thought like that moment was one of the signature moments in episode 1, was him escaping the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's such an epic scene, and just you feel like you just feel for him because like this is, I mean, the flashbacks that we get in this episode are we see him at his lowest moment, where he's pretty much lost everything. Um, he is then this is where the Jawas or Jerks podcast comes from, because let's face it, Jawas are pardon my language, they're assholes.
They're scavengers. It's pronounced scavengers.
I'm sorry, scavenger assholes. But no, like they strip Boba Fett of his armor and everything, and like he's trying to fight back, and then the one Jawa just like hits him in the face with the butt of the rifle and pretty much leaves him for dead. Um, and then Yeah, well, the Tusken Raiders, we're getting to that. And then he's discovered by the Tusken Raiders, and he's held captive by these Tusken Raiders where he isn't given any water for days. He is forced to walk behind a bantha, which at that point, when we saw the banthas, my wife said, I want to see a baby bantha. and she still wants to see a baby bantha. But I will say this here. This is interesting because normally when we see Tusken Raiders, we see the classic getup of the tan garb and everything. But this we saw like the black garb, which makes me think that not all Tusken Raiders are the same, and maybe these are people imitating Tusken Raiders.
Or maybe they just got new threads and the sons of Tatooine have not faded them yet.
Maybe.
Ah,
I
that
mean, that
sounds
could be
way
it
too
too.
practical.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it could be. It could be a different tribe.
Yeah.
It could be a different sect, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, that is one way that we see throughout. At least if you want to pull from human history, how people
Hmm.
they're able to tell what group you're a part of
Hmm.
going throughout history is based upon how you dress, certain colors you have on.
Hmm.
So it could very well be just maybe like a separate independent group
Hmm.
that we've seen versus what we've seen back in the original trilogy as well.
Yeah. Because when we get to the Mandalorian and we see some of the Tusken Raiders in the Mandalorian that work with Cobb Vanth and Din to take down the Krayt Dragon, they're wearing that traditional garb. So this could definitely very well be a different sect, like you said, which I think would be interesting. However, Boba isn't treated humanely. He is then beat with gaffing sticks and the butt of a rifle by these punk teenager Tusken Raiders, while mom and dad pretty much watch from the background. And then we go back to the present day where he's in Jabba's palace and he's in the back to tank, and that's when Fennec pretty much tells him, it's time to get to work now. And that's what. Do you want to take it from here? Because I think this is like your favorite part when they're paying tribute to him.
I thought it was absolutely hysterical and delivered one of the best lines that I have used every single day.
You have.
Even in real life, I have found ways of using it, and I will continue to find ways of using it because I think it's absolutely fantastic. Um, uh, and this is like one of those unexpected like comedic moments, but also
Yeah.
sets up possibly of what the main tension's going to be going forward
Mm,
for this series. So you have the mayor's major domo show up uh after everyone's like bringing gifts for Boba Fett, or aka Lord Boba, now that he's essentially the crime leader. Um and so the mayor's major domo shows up, and there's this like awkward tension
mm-hmm.
between the two, because obviously there's one guy there to play politics. He's very political in everything he says, his movements, everything. And so when Fennec asks what he brought as a gift for Boba Fett, he was just like, it was like, oh, well, we didn't bring you anything. The mayor brings you, his well wishes, and then you're just sitting there going like, okay, where is this going?
Yeah.
Uh, then he brings up the fact that, that he's now expecting something from Boba Fett to give to the mayor to ensure like there isn't any kind of like political strife, that the mayor is allowing Boba Fett to have this crime ring. And Boba Fett's response was like, no, no, absolutely not. I'm the crime lord. Like I am in my rightful place. It is your job to bring me something, so I leave you alone,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then the major domo delivers a line of, oh, well, that's another unfortunate misunderstanding. Uh and uh and I'm just sitting just going like that is it is unfortunate misunderstanding. Am I now misquoting it now? Hold on a second. Let me double check.
It's an understandable
Another
misunderstanding.
understandable misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm just sitting just going like, that is such a backhanded way of saying no, you're wrong.
It is.
And I absolutely loved it. And I'm sitting
Yeah.
there, I was like, yes, that's like the passive aggressiveness I come to expect from certain moments, not just in Star Wars, but anything.
Yeah.
Like, don't just say, no, you owe me something. Finding new, unique ways of kind of giving that like that backhanded remark, but it isn't so blunt. Like
Yeah.
when that happened, I literally sat back in my when I'm sitting on my couch watching, I just went, okay, this is gonna be good. Like this is where a lot of the tension is gonna be.
Yeah.
Gonna be between Boba Fett trying to establish his right
Hmm.
to this new position versus this mayor trying to fight for the control of his city as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where the main tension is going to be. And if that's going to be the case, to all of you prequel haters out there that said the prequels were way too political, buckle up. It's going to get really political real quick if this is the direction it's going to go.
Oh, yeah, totally. But going back to that scene, Fennec has a great rebuttal where she just
Yes.
turns to Boba and she says, "You want me to kill this guy?" Like, like Boba Fett's like,
Part of me
"Not."
wanted her to say yes.
Yeah,
Him to say yes. Be like, yeah, let's do it. Just get him out of
Boba
here.
Fett's like, "No, not yet." Like, but you can tell like Boba Fett was probably thinking, "God, I wish I still had a Rancor like in this place because I'd feed him to him." Also, shout out to Matt Berry from the IT crowd for playing the torture droid from Return of the Jedi. That is now kind of Jabba, or not Jabba's, Boba's kind of like left hand man, because let's face it, Fennec is his right hand man. Great scene though, just, and the Trandoshan, like the Trandoshan that offers the gift. I Boba has another great line after this Trandoshan comes in and offers the gift, where he's like, "Why does everything from a Trandoshan sound like a threat?" Like,
Yeah.
because he's like, "Long may you reign." And Boba's like, "Gee, thanks. Like, so glad that you're here." Um, but then Boba and Fennec decide to head into town and visit a pleasure palace, I guess you could say, because like it had casinos and like a bunch of other things. And that's when we see Jennifer Beals from Flashdance as the Twi'lek that owns the place. Um, and it's really funny because these two Twi'leks come up to Boba and Fennec, and they offer to polish the helmets, and Fennec goes, "No, no, I'm good." And Boba just goes, "No, polish both of them." And then, like after the meeting with the proprietor, they get the helmets back, and Boba's is just full of credits because like he now owns this business. So I thought that was really funny. But then they're ambushed as they're leaving. They're ambushed by these guys that have like energy shields and energy weapons. Yeah, they're space ninjas, and one of them may or may not get blown up, which I thought was just awesome to see. How brutal is this fight? Because this is a pretty brutal fight.
Yeah, again, that's probably the biggest thing that this episode did was kind of set that groundwork of what to expect going forward.
Yeah.
Um, everything from like people, kind of showing a little resistance to Boba Fett taking charge,
Mm.
to going to what you've dubbed the pleasure palace, and
That's what
them
it is.
falling right in line and giving Boba Fett money right up front, like
Yeah.
saying, yes, we recognize who you are,
Hmm.
this belongs to you. Then they step outside, and then boom, automatically they're being, there's already people fighting them.
Yeah.
So it's just it's kind of going to show you that Boba Fett at least can count on one ally, if you will,
Hmm.
being that palace, because they fall in line real quick.
Yeah.
But he's still gonna have that pushback, kind of like, oh, why does everything sound like a threat?
Hmm.
Add that to, the mayor's demanding a gift from Boba Fett, to allow him to be the crime lord, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
now we're seeing words turn into action. I thought the fight scene was amazing.
Yeah.
When those energy shields popped up, I was going like, okay, how is this gonna go?
Hmm.
I thought the fight was brutal and I loved it. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic fight. It was kind of a fight scene that we haven't really seen before. Um, I can vaguely just going through everything I can remember anywhere in the Star Wars universe. It was a very unique fight that turned into a chase.
Hmm.
That was also very exciting. A lot of times chase scenes can be very boring. Um, but I mean, really, it showed you and kind of answered a lot of questions of what can Fennec do? Like, what are her strengths? As a bounty hunter, as someone who goes out. We've seen flashes here and there from like the Bad Batch of what she can do, but now we're getting a bigger glimpse of what her power truly is.
Hmm.
I thought that was a defining moment for Fennec right there in
Yeah.
that fight sequence.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that this is the most brutal fight we've ever gotten in Star Wars outside of, I would say, Obi-Wan and Jango fighting on the platform in Attack of the Clones, because it's kind of like, because after, let's face it, after Jango loses the pistol and Obi-Wan loses the lightsaber, at that point it's like, okay, it's time to brawl, and they end up brawling, which I'm all for hand-to-hand combat in Star Wars. Like, bring it on. Like, I want these brutal fights. I want these knockdown dragouts. One of my favorite parts of the fight, and like this goes to show you the choreography in this fight. Fennec tries to get a one up on the dude by climbing up the shield, and she can't do it because she just doesn't have a grip on the energy shield, which I thought was just awesome because, there's that give and take and there's that pushback there. Her chasing down the dudes, I thought were amazing. I will say this right now. If you are complaining about wearing a mask when it's hot, try wearing a mask on a planet with twin suns while doing parkour being chased by a master assassin. That's all I'm going to say. um, who do we think sent these guys? Are they from the mayor's office or are we getting Crimson Dawn?
So I would assume it's from the mayor's office.
Hmm.
I'm assuming that it's like his or the mayor's private security enforcer group. Crimson Dawn could definitely be a theory as well.
Yeah,
Um, but with just what we know so far from the first episode,
yeah.
I would push my credits a little bit more towards them being sent by the mayor.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I still think Crimson Dawn, like in the back of my head. I'm also thinking maybe like another like lower level crime lord like trying to take over, because let's face it, in the absence of Jabba the Hutt and Bib Fortuna, I'm sure there was like a lot of like turf wars between smaller criminal organizations on Tatooine. Uh, if those of you are wondering who the mayor is, we still haven't met the mayor yet, but this is the mayor of Mos Espa, which is Anakin Skywalker's hometown, which I think is really cool. And let's face it, Mos Espa has definitely grown
A
in
lot.
the in the 30 or so years, or the 50 or so years since the prequel trilogy. This is definite, or we probably just saw a small glimpse of this town in the prequel trilogy. But this is, I mean, the scale of this city is huge, and I just think it's just awesome. So we get the chase, the guy's captured, but Boba Fett is injured. And the Gamorrean guards take him back to the Bacta tank, which is where we get our final flashbacks of the episode to where he's in captivity with the Tusken Raiders. And Boba Fett is trying to escape the Tusken Raider camp with a Gamorrean, or no, not a Gamorrean, a Rodian, I should say. And Boba Fett knocks this dog out and uses the dog's teeth to break his bindings. And then he asks the Rodian, "Do you want me to free you from your shackles?" In which the Rodian gives him up. And then Boba Fett has to then fight a couple of Tusken Raiders and gets his ass handed to him again. And this is this is one of the complaints that some people have for this episode, where it's like, well, he's weak. He's too weak in this episode. I'm sorry, if you spent however long in the middle of a sarlacc pit and being slowly digested, and like being burned alive from the inside out, you'd be weak too. Also, being dehydrated, having two twin sons beat down on you, you'd be very weak too. Boba Fett holds his own the best he can in these fights. And then the punk kid that ends up kicking his ass then has to take him and the Rodian to find a source of water for the Tusken Raiders, and they are digging in the middle of sand for these. Uh, I guess you could say fruit. It kind of looked like fruit in a way.
I, I don't know, to me, it more looked like, those rocks back in elementary school that you would break open to see the crystals and everything
Yeah.
inside. To me, that's what I instantly thought of. Thinking like maybe like those had like I think they were called geodes. No, they're like
Oh,
you you break them open and there's water inside. Too soon. Uh,
too soon.
yeah.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, so I thought it was like a rock structure that may have contained water inside,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It could definitely be a desert fruit, if you
Hmm.
will. Not entirely sure, but yeah, it has water of some sort, I would imagine.
Yeah, to me, it kind of like reminded me of a cactus a little bit. I just want to go to chat real quick here. Maggie also said, going back to the Pleasure Palace, which I think that's what we can call it from now on until we actually get the name of the place. We got our first sexy male Twi'lek in Star Wars. Yes, we got sexy Twi'leks in Star Wars. That's all I'm gonna say there. But anyway, going back to,
Where he
I
had an
had to
eight
say,
pack,
he
like
did have an eight
for
pack.
for galactic standards, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just
Maybe
saying.
maybe Twi'leks do it differently.
I,
Mm. Anyway, so as they're getting these sources of water, Boba's trying to talk to the Rodian and trying to pretty much still free this Rodian. And the Rodian's just like giving him crap the entire time. And then Boba Fett says something about like leaving him there for dead or something, and like the Rodian shuts up. And Boba Fett's like, "Yeah, I bet you heard that, didn't you? I bet you understood that." And then the Rodian finds these scales, and that's when we're introduced to a big monster, which kind of looked like Goro from Mortal Kombat a little bit.
exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah, and let's just say this Rodian had a very bad day.
Snack time.
Snack time. Yeah. This fight is pretty brutal too, because Boba Fett gets thrown around and choked. T-Span's uptime. We've been live for an hour and 13 minutes and 20 seconds, bud. Uh, I can't wait to get into voice chat later and have him complain about it. Anyway, um, but there's this brutal fight in which the Tusken Raider kid doesn't do anything really. He gets thrown around, he gets stomped around a little bit, and it's Boba pretty much doing the same thing that Leia did to Jabba the Hutt, choking this monster out with these chains to save the day. But the kid survives, Boba survives, Rodian not so much, and so does the little dog thing that's with them, which we don't really talk about this lizard dog. And then they go back to the camp, and of course, the kid is carrying the head of this monster, and of course, everybody thinks that the kid killed the monster, but yet the leader of the Tusken Raider tribe just walks up to Boba Fett and just offers him the water. Like, yeah, we know that you did this, actually. The kid didn't do this. And then from there, the episode just fades to black, and then we get the concept art and everything. Uh, let's just dive in here to. I mean, we're diving in here, but where do you want to focus specifically when it comes to this episode?
I mean, I think uh personally, like, I, it's hard to pick one point to focus on
Yeah.
because it hits on so many things in a 38-minute time span,
Hmm.
which is my biggest reasoning why I think this episode should have been a lot longer.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour.
Hmm.
Because it does leave a lot of questions still on what direction this series is going to go.
Yeah.
Um, and I think at the same time, that's fine. But for a series that's only going to be 7 episodes long, um, that's not a lot of time to really expand this story. Yes, I get it. It's supposed to be like Mandalorian 2.5.
Yeah.
I get that. It's supposed to be, if you will, a filler series in that not universe, but in that universe of storytelling. That's why it's still introduced as chapters, kind of like
Hmm.
we saw with like the Mandalorian. But um I just feel like right now, if you were to try to figure out what the main premise behind this series is going to be, is it going to be Boba Fett's new role as the underground crime lord, trying to gain control
Hmm.
versus the mayor? Is it going to be Boba Fett coming to terms with the fact that he's not the same Boba Fett that he used to be? He's older. He's been through a lot more.
Hmm.
He's not as strong, so he's going to have to think more on his feet. He's going to have to be able to use his knowledge, his life experience,
Hmm.
to help him get through certain obstacles in his new role. Is it going to be that kind of like personal journey? Are we going to see, um, maybe a connection with Camino again? Are we going to see Omega pop up? Are we going to see, pardon me, Omega pop up? Are we going to right now, just after one episode, like trying to pinpoint where this series is going to go just feels so up in the air,
Yeah.
but it just feels like the one point it is trying to push you in is that there's going to be strife with Boba Fett taking over this role as crime
Hmm.
lord.
Yeah.
So I feel like that might be the main direction of this entire series.
Hmm.
But really, that's really the big question mark I have, is the direction
Hmm.
that they're going to go after episode 1.
Yeah. Uh, I'm in the same boat with you. My question to you now is because the Bad Batch, I mean, this is comparing apples and oranges here, but the Bad Batch kind of suffered a little bit of an identity crisis until like towards the end of the first season where it finally cemented what the show was. Does this show suffer from an identity crisis in just one episode, or is this show pretty much solid in we're telling this dude's story, buckle up because you have no idea where this is going to go?
So a moment of truth for me, if you will.
Sure.
Um, WandaVision is a perfect example of why you cannot judge a series
Hmm.
off the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
When WandaVision first came out, I was so confused with what was going on.
Hmm.
Um, and I was actually frustrated after the second episode. I was so angry because I could not understand what in the world was happening.
Yeah.
But after episode 3 and 4, it blew my mind
Yeah.
because all those dots were connected. And then all of a sudden, I found myself going back and picking up on all these things I missed because I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah.
And then that story of WandaVision came to fruition, but it almost forced you to have to go back and rewatch it after the big reveal,
Hmm.
from episode 3 and 4. So I feel like to say that Book of Boba Fett has an identity crisis of the direction it wants to go in after a 38-minute episode
Hmm.
might be a little premature to jump to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as a Star Wars fan coming off of the Bad Batch, that's something that's definitely in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
You know, the Bad Batch had so much potential to hit on different elements of the Bad Batch after episode 3,
Hmm.
is such a ripe time to dive into to provide more content, because between episode 3 and episode 4, in the Star Wars cinematic universe is just a bunch of gray area. Like we don't really know what happened. It's like almost the Empire rose up overnight after Order 66 happened.
Yeah.
What actually happened? And the Bad Batch was going on that direction of kind of showing how the universe was changing.
Hmm.
And then we're fighting bugs in a mining cart
Hmm.
for a half an hour, and it was very frustrating.
Yeah.
With Book of Boba Fett, I think it's honestly going to be 2 points, and I would be 100% fine with this. Boba Fett coming to terms with where he is in his own life journey,
Hmm.
being an older bounty hunter, having been through a lot, needing a bantha bath to recover,
Hmm.
and kind of still be that imposing force in his new role, but also using that to his advantage in the current situation of trying to gain control of this new town, of this new city.
Hmm.
So I think that would be the direction I would assume it's going after this one episode.
Hmm.
Ask me after episode 3 if there's an identity crisis, because
Yeah.
by episode 3, with it only being a 7-episode series,
Hmm.
we'll definitely know by then if there's an identity crisis. Like if
Yeah.
episode 2 pops up next Wednesday and Boba Fett is dancing on top of the Cantina counter to the Skrillex remix of the Cantina Jam,
Yeah.
then yeah, we have no idea where this is
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. I'm not expecting a giant dance number until at least episode 7
I mean,
for the Book of Boba Fett. But but that's my point here. I think that um some of these reviews are judging this way too harshly because of the Mandalorian and because of the Bad Batch and everything. This is one episode. This is a completely different series. Yeah, it's tying into the Mandalorian because of Fennec Shand and Boba Fett and a few other people, but this is its own thing. And to say that this show is suffering from an identity crisis, I think is after one episode, I think is BS. Like you said, you have to give it to at least episode 3 to see like what is really going on here and the
yeah,
direction that this is going.
I think some of the loudest voices out there that are anti Book of Boba Fett after one 38-minute episode
Yeah.
are, for lack of better terms, amateur wannabe reviewers. They are people. No, I mean
Yeah.
it's the idea of clickbait. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Hmm.
It's you make an over the top statement
Hmm.
that is highly unpopular,
Yep.
because people are going to click on it.
Yeah.
People are going to watch your video, they're going to read your article, they're going to visit your site.
Hmm.
And then if you continue to be negative, guess what? People are going to keep coming back to argue. And then that floods your comment section, that floods your engagement numbers. That's what social media is. It's all
Yeah.
clickbait. So people are trying to rile up the Star Wars community because, let's be honest, it's a community that can be very passionate,
It is.
very passionate,
Hmm.
and they do not like opposing radical viewpoints. So if everyone's loving it, someone has to be the negative side of it,
Yeah.
and just to be that thorn in everyone's side. And that's why I honestly feel like it's happening, because I've read some of these reviews. I've given them a mercy click here and there, a pity click, a charity click, if you will.
Yeah.
And their reviews hold no water.
Yeah.
It really holds no water. The things they're upset about are some of the dumbest things ever. Like, oh, is this going to be nothing but a bunch of flashbacks? Some of the best stories told in cinema incorporate the use of flashbacks. Star Wars has used flashbacks multiple times
Yeah.
throughout its entire lifespan. There's nothing wrong with using flashbacks.
Mhm.
Some of my favorite TV shows have used flashbacks, like Suits, a great lawyer drama show that was on USA Network for like 9 years.
Oh, such a good show.
Season 2 was like nothing but
Yeah,
flashbacks.
it really was.
And it told a great story.
Hmm.
Flashbacks are not something that automatically makes something bad. The Marvel Universe uses flashbacks, a lot of them,
Yeah.
a lot of flashbacks, whether it's visual or audio cues. Flashbacks are a thing. That's not something you can sit here after 38 after one 38-minute episode and be like, "Oh, this is why it's bad." It used flashbacks.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
I mean,
Come on.
and that I think is the biggest problem here, is that people just now, granted, we want all of the answers, to these questions, but a lot of people want them right away, but they're not patient enough to sit through the things that are actually giving us these answers.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Hawkeye is the perfect example, because Hawkeye did a lot of flashbacks in this season where, it flashed back to his time as Ronin and it talked about that. Um, I mean, we got the flashback of Elena being snapped and then blipped back into existence, just like we did with WandaVision with Monica being blipped back into existence. Flashbacks help these things. Like, I'm not a big fan of this show Arrow, but Arrow used flashbacks very well. The Flash has used flashbacks very well. So, and going back to what you said, Star Wars uses flashbacks a lot because that's how we tell some of these stories. Because let's face it, like the Force Awakens had Last Jedi has the flashbacks of Luke and Ben confronting each other at the Jedi Academy, but you see it from two different points of view. The Rise of Skywalker has the flashback of Luke training Leia as a Jedi, in which we find out that she had her lightsaber. So the prequel trilogy is one giant flashback. If you look at it, the prequel trilogy is one giant flashback. The Clone Wars is one giant flashback. So, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, it's stupid. But then like you get these articles because Hollywood Reporter also reviewed it and they said that it wasn't that good because of various reasons. Like it feels like a filler episode, and like Mandalorians are better off with their helmets on and stuff. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is one dude that is a Mandalorian, but not all Mandalorians believe that you need to have your helmets on. They talk about it in the Mandalorian.
You expect them to pay attention to that? Like,
Yeah,
no, you're 100% correct. And,
yeah,
and that goes to show you again that uh one, even the Hollywood Reporter is trying to hire people back on after laying everybody off during the pandemic, that they're
well, that's
pulling a
true.
bunch of nobodies off the street to write reviews. So for as far as we know, they may not have actually watched The Mandalorian, or maybe they fell asleep because, they just don't understand good visual
Yeah,
animation and craft and storytelling and whatnot. But
yeah,
uh we've seen Boba Fett without his helmet on before.
yeah,
We've seen Jango Fett without his helmet on.
yeah.
We've seen other Mandalorians, like you said, in the Mandalorian series without their helmets on. So you're going to sit and be like, oh, sometimes Mandalorian stories are better told with their helmets on. Well, first off, when we were first introduced to Boba Fett, he wasn't a Mandalorian. He was a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to say Mandalorians are new to the Star Wars universe, but they're new. But that tag is new to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like, Boba Fett was a bounty hunter
Hmm.
in Mandalorian armor that we're now going by. So like it's ridiculous, these outlets that focus on something as small as, oh well, he had his helmet off and his
Yeah.
armor looks like the Mandalorian armor, so maybe his helmet should stay on, and create that kind of mystery.
Hmm.
Well, go back to episode 2 then, because my boy Boba Fett had his helmet off. He didn't even have armor then. And
Yeah.
his dad Django didn't rock the armor all the time also. Uh it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Django wore like an oversized nightshirt like
He was
when meeting
comfortable. I
Obi-Wan.
mean,
Yeah, exactly.
who doesn't want to be comfortable?
And then another thing that I saw, and and I think that this is a conversation that we need to have, especially with this first episode, especially with the reviews of this first episode. People are complaining about um Tamora Morrison's body structure, saying like, "Oh, he doesn't look fit enough." I'm like, the dude is 61 years old and could probably kick your ass. You know, the dude is 61 years old, and
Yeah.
you're complaining about his body type.
Mhm. Yeah. So in a world that focuses on body positivity over the past about 15 years, I should
Yeah,
say, I think it's hypercritical.
yeah,
That the first thing they say is Boba Fett looks fat.
yeah,
uh, like, okay. Fun fact: if you take a look at the life cycle of a human,
yep.
the metabolism does tend to slow down when you get older.
Just
Genetics play a fact in there as well. Some people hold on to their metabolism and they have a high metabolism that lasts a lot longer. Um, I like to joke with some of my ultra skinny friends out there that like they can eat 8,000 calories in a single day and they lose weight,
yeah,
where I so much, look at a picture of a cheesecake and I put 10 pounds on.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's like this isn't cool.
Yeah,
Um, but like you said, like it's not fair to sit here and say, oh, Boba Fett, this character played by the original actor, um, doesn't look the same in his 60s as he did in his 30s. I hate to break this to you. Nobody looks the same in their 60s as they do in their 30s.
hmm,
You don't look the same as you do in your 30s when you're in your teens.
yeah,
Like, that's life, people, and no amount of CG is going to shed 50 pounds from you. Like, yes, it will make you look like Luke Skywalker after episode 6, but if that actor is 50 pounds heavier, then guess what? Luke Skywalker's put some weight on after he defeated Darth Vader and the Emperor. Like, spoiler alert. So yeah, it's like, get over it.
yeah,
Get over it. You can't have it both ways. You can't preach body positivity, then get pissed off that Boba Fett's a little thick.
yeah. And honestly, I don't care because
Exactly.
guess what? We're here for the dude. We're here to see the evolution of his character, not the size of his body. I don't give a crap. The dude can still kick your ass. like you know, I mean, and he holds his own in these fights. And the whole point of him like getting beat up and having to go into the back tank is because he is older and weaker. That's one of the points of the show. And honestly, I think Tamora Morrison looks great. I
Yeah,
think the
for
dude
real.
looks great. I mean, the Polynesian spa video. That's all I gotta say. The Polynesian spa. Like he just goes in the hot tub. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna base your review on that, like go out, to quote Abby, my wonderful co-host, go outside and touch some grass. You know?
Her, that requires leaving the basement.
Oh, I'm
Like
sorry.
you
I'm
can't
so
do that.
I'm
It's,
sorry. That's correct. Um yeah, yeah, we can't leave the basement. Yeah, how many nasty emails am I going to get tonight?
sorry, I apologize.
No, it's
You can go ahead and forward them to my major domo, his email, which is I don't care about your feelings at gmail.com.
exactly. And I think so Cam, who's going to be on our show Monday night, he posted a video on Twitter and he's talking about all of the people complaining about the Book of Boba Fett. And he's
I
like,
saw that video. That was
yeah,
good.
it was
That was good.
great because he's like, it's new Star Wars. Just enjoy it. That's all we have to do. Like, suspend all disbelief. Who cares if it's not going the way that you want it to go? Just shut your brain off and enjoy it. And I think that that is the problem. Like, yeah, media, reviews of media are good. They're good, but at the same time they're so terrible because everybody now, and this is also a dig at me because I'm a podcaster, but everybody thinks that they can review shit. You know?
Now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone has a right to their opinion.
I
Everyone
yes,
has a right
yes,
to review, but there's a way about doing it. Like,
yes.
if you're going to sit here and say this series is trash because Boba Fett is a little thick,
Yeah,
you are missing the point of this series. You are not
yeah,
you're not a Star Wars reviewer.
yeah.
You are a personal trainer reviewer that's judging people based upon their body type.
Exactly.
You're not there for Star Wars.
Yeah,
If you're sitting here saying that Star Wars is too violent, you don't want to see weapons, you don't want to see guns, you want to see peace and negotiations only. Guess what? You're not there for Star Wars.
yeah.
You are there because you're an anti-violence critic
Mhm.
or watchdog or something. Like,
Yeah.
if you are picking things that have absolutely zero to do with the actual story being told,
Mhm.
you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Like, you're not. That's like a food critic going to a restaurant saying the food sucks because I don't like that painting on the wall.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the food.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
there. You're there to be a food critic, not an interior design critic. Like,
exactly.
it's my
And
soapbox.
no, no, and I totally agree. And forgive me for prefacing it the way that I did, but you know what I mean. Like when I was saying what I was saying, where I mean I look, if you're there to review Star Wars, all the more power to you, like John said. But if you're there to nitpick every little thing because you just don't like the detail, then you're in the wrong business. That's all I'm gonna say here. Um, I just want to go back to the Mandalorian helmet thing here real quick because Maggie brings up a point. Din Djarin was the only major Mandalorian character that we've seen wearing a helmet all the time. Clone Wars and Rebels is full of Mandos without helmets.
There
Sabine
you go.
Wren does not wear a helmet most of the time. And when you meet Sabine's family in Rebels, most of them are not wearing helmets. You know, the only people that we see are this sect of Mandalorians with the armorer and with Din Djarin that are wearing their helmets. Everybody else is taking them off freely. So for Boba Fett not to wear his helmet, who cares? He's still a badass. Like, you know, just
A
go for the
a
ride.
thick badass,
He is a
please.
thick badass. He really is. But yeah, he's, you know, and then some people were complaining about it because of Fennec Shand, and I think Fennec's one of the best characters that we've gotten in modern day Star Wars.
She's awesome. Like,
She
what's
is.
there to hate about it?
It's the
Like,
people saying that Star Wars is woke.
because Finnick. Ow, okay, like, look. Let's sit here and acknowledge that yes, Disney does put modern day life situations into some of the stories they tell.
Yes.
Whether you agree with their take or you don't, that's for another podcast. That's for another
Yes.
date and time.
Exactly.
But by saying Finnick Shan's character is only in there because Disney is woke, then you are automatically saying the only reason that an Asian woman was casted for that role was because she was Asian and a woman. Which, okay, you know, look, I like to say this. Most of the people that watch Star Wars, the first thing they see is not the race
Hmm.
of the person playing the character. They see the character.
Yeah.
Like, I find it's absolutely ridiculous that people are claiming Disney is woke and trying to be PC just by their casting.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's a character, there's a certain actor or actress that fits that role. That's why they have casting calls, that's why they have auditions.
Yeah.
And then they find the person that best fits that role and what
Yep.
they're looking for.
Hmm.
That's not woke. That's how movies and TV have been made
I know.
for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
You find someone who can play the role the way you want, the
Yeah.
way that you, as the creator of that role, have envisioned. That's not woke. That's not, you know, PC. That's bringing your creation to life.
Yeah.
Like,
And
get over yourself. Like,
oh
this is
yeah,
insane.
she's a badass in
I
every
think she's one of the
instance.
best characters they brought into the universe in a long time.
Oh yeah, me too. I
Hands
mean,
down.
between Mandalorian, Bad Batch, and here, she's incredible, and she can hold her own. Star Wars dudes bros specifically. Yeah, exactly. It's all the dudes. It's all the dude bros. Once again, get out of the basement. You know, like that's all I'm gonna say. But you know, she can hold her own in a fight. This is Ming Na Wen, and she's amazing. She's a she's a triple threat. She's a Disney princess, she's a badass Marvel character, and she's a badass assassin in Star Wars. She's a triple threat. And she's the first. My wife just brought out a great point. She's the first to be in all three at the same time. So, I mean, she's great. She's a great character. I can't wait to see how her character develops. Really. And I love her loyalty to Boba Fett. I absolutely love her loyalty to Boba Fett. Now, I believe that loyalty is going to be tested over the course of this season, but she's loyal to Boba Fett. She can hold her own. And I mean, she's just awesome. So, you know, grow up. It's a TV show. You know, it's a TV show. Who cares? Yeah, exactly. If you don't like it, try to make your own. And guess what? Somebody will be upset at the way you do it. You know, like, art is subject to interpretation. I get it. But just bashing somebody for just their gender or their heritage, ugh, God. It's stupid. It's stupid. Disney isn't woke. Disney's just incorporating everyday things into Star Wars. That's it.
I mean, look, if you're gonna be mad at Disney about anything, be mad at Disney for the fact that Bruno was stuck in between the walls of a house for
Yes,
however many years, and
exactly.
nobody would want to talk about it.
Exactly. We
Like,
don't talk about Bruno.
be mad at that.
Yeah. No, but yeah, but that's true too. Like if you're gonna be mad at Disney, yeah, be mad at that plot line in Encanto. Like,
It was a good movie though. It was
yeah,
still
oh,
good.
great movie, yeah. But yeah, like, or be mad at Disney about the character design of Goofy.
Oh, the new Goofy. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
you know, be mad about that. Like, don't be mad about this. It's Star Wars. Who cares? Just enjoy it. I mean, we got anything else about this?
No,
No,
I think we've beat the dead horse or
we
dead
have.
bantha enough.
We have beat the dead bantha enough. Um, so I do have this question though, going back to the characters here, especially Jennifer Beals' character. Do you think we're gonna see a lot more of her, or do you think that she's just gonna be kind of like a one and done, or maybe like a two episode type character?
Uh, I think we'll see more of her.
Yeah,
I think your proclaimed pleasure palace is going to play a role.
yeah,
Um, I would like to see more of her in that universe because again, um, that place is really the only place that isn't like giving Boba Fett a lot of grief up front. They were like immediately like they're like, oh, we've done this song and dance before, you know, we know exactly what to do. Okay, you're the new leader. Congratulations. Here's your money.
hmm
Um, like they understand how to run a successful business in that town,
yeah,
and they fell in line real quick.
yeah,
So I think that that's going to play a role
hmm
possibly
yeah.
in this series, and I would be completely okay with it. And I loved her character. I thought it was great.
Yeah. My wife was talking to one of her friends earlier today, and her friend was saying that they think that Jennifer Beals character might actually be a trans character, a transgender character, which I think would be pretty
Oh,
interesting because you don't really see the ear things when it comes to the Twi'leks or Twi'leks, but you do on the one guy. So the guy might be transgender as well, which I think would be pretty interesting. I think that that would be cool. I just wanted to throw that out there.
hmm.
Um, or it well, yeah, or it could just be giving more variety to the Twi'leks as well, because let's face it, it's an alien species and genetic mutations happen all the time as well. So, you know, it's all of these things. I think that we covered quite a bit when it comes to this show. We did go off on a couple of tangents here, but I think that they were much needed when it comes to this episode. But I'm with you. I rate this an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a solid start. It's a great pilot. I can't wait to see it fill in the gaps a little bit of Mandalorian, but also be its own thing because I think that that's what we really want to see here. We will talk about the Slave One renaming discourse at another time because I don't think that we should be talking about that tonight. But I do have one final question about this show. Do you think we're just going to stick to Tatooine, or do you think we're going other places?
Right now, after episode one, I would say it's sticking to Tatooine.
Yeah.
I would say it's going to be focused on Boba Fett establishing his role
Hmm.
uh, as the crime lord. It's going to be, you know, Boba Fett coming to terms with him not being the same bounty hunter that he used to be,
Hmm.
which is what I really do think those flashbacks are.
Yeah.
Um, you know, is his own personal growth and character development.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would actually be surprised if we left Tatooine,
Yeah.
unless something major happens in episode two,
Yeah.
that like really does establish what the real storyline is going to be.
Hmm.
Pending anything like that, like if anything's going to change it, it's going to be in episode two.
Yeah.
Anything after episode two, I feel like you've already put your feet in cement. It's too late
Hmm.
to make any kind of radical changes in a 7 episode series.
Yeah.
So episode two is going to be the defining moment, establishing what this story is going to be. But I would be surprised if it does take place off of Tatooine.
Yeah. Uh, Maggie says maybe it'll end on Mandalore? Question mark. Maybe for season two. I'm thinking if this does get picked up for season two, they'll do Mandalore because they want to tie it into the Mandalorian. But I think that this first season is going to stay strictly to Tatooine. I think that we're going to deal more with the criminal underground elements, which I've been wanting that in Star Wars for years, and to finally get that in this show, bring it on. Like let's do the underworld. Let's see the seedy underbelly of Tatooine. You know, let's just get into all of the wacky fun here. So that is going to be it. So you are going to be. You said that you were going to be joining us for all of these, right?
I will
Pending.
do my best
Yeah.
to join for all of them. I can tell you right now, the 22nd
Yeah.
is going to be a no go for me.
That's fine.
That's like in 4 weeks. It's so far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 22nd would be a no go, but everything else, yeah.
All right. Cool. That's awesome. So expect John over the course of this season.
Or don't
Or
tune
don't.
out when I'm on
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
you know other people do. You know,
Yeah.
it's fine.
You know. Uh, and I'm gonna try to get like another mid-season roundtable like we did for the Bad Batch, which I think would be a lot of fun. But that's it for us tonight for this first episode of Book of Boba Fett. We have a lot of content coming to you this year for from the Beacon. It is still gonna be here, regardless of what happens in the Fallen Star.
In the ground. It'll
I,
still be here, but not. It'll be here like the Death Star is here in the sequel trilogy. It is technically there
yeah.
in pieces, not floating in space.
Okay. I
So
see what
it is still there.
Yeah. Or should I change it to Galactic Star Cruiser transmissions?
Oh, talking about something else that's going to crash and burn.
I've already got a cup. I can't change it.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Um, yeah, so we have a lot of content coming your way. We're doing a lot more audio as well. We are getting back to podcast form as well as doing these live shows. Expect this episode this Wednesday. If you did miss the live show and on demand, you can catch this on Wednesday. So that's going to be it for us. I'm going to be hanging out on Discord for a while in voice chat. John, you can join me there if you want to chat. You can join us there as well. But that is going to be it for us this evening. I hope that you all have a wonderful week. May the force be with you. Always fight for light and life. And we will see you Monday night for our High Republic show. Until then, we'll see you later. Have a good night, everybody.